Good morning everyone. My name is Abhay Singh and I welcome you all in today's video analysis of The Hindu. Today is 10th of July 2024 and we will start our news analysis with the first news headline of the day. And the first news headline for the day is that the President of Russia, Mr. Vladimir Putin, has accepted the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's request to release the recruits. So basically, many of Indians have joined the Russian army during the tough times of Russia. They were promised that they will get a minimum pay of rupees 2 lakh rupees per month, a minimum pay of 2 lakh rupees per month, and also the citizenship of Russia. These are the various promises which were made to the Indians before their recruitment into the Russian army. They were sent to fight on the war front. They were sent, but now again the issue was getting bigger and bigger. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi during his bilateral visit to Russia has requested to the Prime Minister of Russia that all the Indians should be released with immediate effect. All the Indians should be released with the immediate effect now. There was another important thing which we need to discuss in this under this particular topic, that when one of the journalists or the when the one of the media persons asked that what will happen to the person who are willing to stay in Russia and they wanted to serve the Russian army. So the response from the Russia is that each and every individual who is serving the Russian army has to leave the Russian army, and they will be sent back to their own respective countries. So basically, this was the request which was made by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi and accepted by the Russian President Vladimir Putin. You can see it here as well. Asked specifically if Indians who chose to remain would be allowed to do so, he said that Mr. Modi made it clear that he wanted all Indian military recruits to return. So basically, this was the request made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, that all the Indian military recruits will be sent back to their respective country. Now, another important thing which is coming to us after this bilateral visit, there is the target that has been set by India and Russia, that the bilateral trade between Russia and India will reach $200 billion by 2030. So this was a kind of target which is set by the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, and Russian President Mr. Vladimir Putin, that the trade between these two countries will reach up to $100 billion, will reach to $100 billion by the end of 2030. Now moving on to the next important headline for the day. This is not important for the examination point of view. This is not that important for the examination point of view. But again, this news is very important for us to understand that the stampede which took place in Hathras, in which 122 people lost their lives, Uttar Pradesh government has formed a a two-member special investigation team, SIT, and SIT has not included, that two-member SIT has not included self-styled godman Narayan Sakar, also known as Bhole Baba. So Narayan Sakar Hari, who was the chief organizer of this particular, who was the chief stakeholder in of this particular stampede, of this particular satsang that was going on in Hathras, and stampede took place and 250,000 people were present. The permission was granted only for 80,000 people, and after the stampede 122 people has lost their life, the committee was constituted. But the best thing about this particular the ironical thing about this particular news headline is the SIT, that special investigation team, has not included the self-styled godman Narayan Shankar, also known as Bhole Baba. Bhole Baba was kept out of the thousand pages report that is submitted by the special investigation team. Now, so Patanjali has stated in the Supreme Court that it has complied with the order of Supreme Court, and it had removed all the 14 controversial, or the all the 14 medicines which were instructed by the Supreme Court that these medicines should be removed from the stores of Patanjali throughout India. Now, Rahul Gandhi visits Raebareli, meet family of Kirti Chakraborty, Nitish confidant, ex-official. The political news not important for us to understand. Now moving on to the next important news headline for the day, Chandigarh AAP leader Pradeep Chawla passes. Now these are the news headlines which are not important for us. Now important news headlines: Maharashtra to roll out free higher education policy for EWS, SCBC, OBC and girls student. So basically, this after the Majhi Ladki Bahin scheme, the Maharashtra government After the Majhi Ladki Bahin scheme, the Maharashtra government has announced another women-oriented policy making higher education free for girls belonging to economically weaker section, socially and economically backward classes, and other backward classes. This initiative aimed at promoting women's education was decided during a cabinet meeting chaired by Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. Additionally, tuition and exam fee for orphan students of both genders will be waived as per a government resolution. So this news is very important for us to understand that girls belonging to the economically weaker section, socially and economically weak backward classes, other backward classes, and other backward classes, the girls from these particular categories will get free education, free higher education, because their tuition fee is waived off by the government of Maharashtra, and this was decided in a resolution passed by the Maharashtra government. Now also another important provision which was mentioned in that particular resolution, that the child or the kids or the or the aspirants who are orphan, who don't have parents, their full fee will be waived, and this particular scheme is for the both the genders, for the males and females as well. This particular scheme is not restricted to any specific gender, but the scheme which waived off the loan for everyone, for girls from various communities, that scheme is limited to the girls only, but this particular policy is for the everyone. Any orphan student will can claim the benefits of this particular scheme. He will get the full fee waiver by the Maharashtra government. This is yet to be declared in an official notification, but a resolution has been passed by the Maharashtra government. Now moving on to the next important news headline for the day. 20 bodies found buried on premises of illegal home in Tamil Nadu, so not important. Power sector in Andhra Pradesh inherit loss of rupees 1.29 lakh crore, says N. Chandrababu Naidu. So these are political news, not important for us. Animal keeper in Nehru Zoological Park narrowly escaped lion attack, not important. Student kills AP college principal in Assam, not important. 10 Kerala caste have just a member in each government services. So basically, a few days back, we have we have a data from the Kerala, from the state of Kerala, and that particular data was depicting the persons from the various communities, and their participation in the Kerala state government. So basically, there are 10 communities in Kerala which have just one people representing their entire community in Kerala government services. So this is kind of new news headline for us to understand that in Kerala there are 10 communities जिनका सिर्फ एक ही representative है Kerala state government में. Now moving on to the next important news headline for the day. So this is also important for us to understand, because we have decided that we will eliminate TB, tuberculosis, by 2025. So yeah, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, former Director General of the Indian Council of Medical Research and Chief Scientist of the World Health Organization. Chief Scientist of the World Health Organization has been appointed Principal Advisor at the Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare for the National Tuberculosis Elimination Program. So basically, she has been appointed as the principal advisor at the Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare for the, now her appointment is basically for the NTEP, National Tuberculosis Elimination Program, which was a flagship program of Indian government to remove tuberculosis from India. The national target to eliminate TB from India is 2025. By the year 2025, India has decided to remove the tuberculosis, to eliminate the tuberculosis from India, whereas the global target is 2030. By 2030, globally, the TB, tuberculosis, should be eliminated. Tuberculosis is a kind of bacterial infection. It's a kind of bacterial infection. We have to remember this, that TB, tuberculosis, is a bacterial infection, and the government of India has decided that it will eliminate tuberculosis by the year 2025. Moving on to the next important news headline for the day. India Russia to boost bilateral trade to $100 billion by 2030. So we have already discussed this, that at 22nd annual summit, Modi and Putin has agreed to increase the bilateral cooperation between India and Russia, so that the bilateral trade between these two countries can grow and it can reach $200 billion by the end of 2030. So this is a target which has been set by both India and Russia, that they will give utmost efforts to increase the trade to $100 billion by 2030. Now, Russia offers compensation citizenship or to kin of Indian killed in a war against Ukraine. So basically, many of Indians who were fighting for Russia, they have lost their lives in Russia. So now Russia is offering a compensation for those person who have lost their lives in this particular war. Indian citizens who have lost their lives in this particular war because they were fighting for Russia. Russian government has said that they will offer a kind of compensation. They will you know uh, provide a kind of compensation to their families and also the citizenship to the kin of Indians. So basically, Russia will provide compensation as well as citizens to the kin whose father or mother, whose parents or any family member have lost their lives in the war in Russia. So how much compensation will be provided? How much compensation will be provided? That basically they will be provided a compensation of rupees 1.3 crore by Russian government, and they will also get a monthly stipend of rupees 18,000 if any of the child has not achieved or not turned the age of 18. अगर उस फैमिली में कोई माइनर है तो उसे 18,000 रुपीज पर मंथ का स्टाइपेंड मिलेगा एंड वन टाइम पेमेंट ऑफ रुपीज 1.3 करोड़. सो इतनी सारी चीजें प्रोवाइड कर रहा है कौन है? रशिया. किन लोगों को? जिन लोगों की जान चली गई है रशिया में, जो इंडिया के लोग थे जिनकी वॉर लड़ते लड़ते रशिया में जान चली गई है, उनकी फैमिलीज को रशियन गवर्नमेंट क्या करेगी? रुपीज 1.3 करोड़ का कॉम्पनसेशन प्रोवाइड करेगी. और अगर उनके फैमिली में कोई माइनर चाइल्ड है तो उन्हें 18,000 रुपीज पर मंथ के बेनिफिट्स प्रोवाइड किए जाएंगे. कब तक? जब तक वो 18 ईयर्स के नहीं हो जाते हैं. ठीक है. So this is from Russia. This is from Moscow, and this was decided at the 22nd annual meeting. Now moving on to the PM raises Ukraine more during meet, says loss of life is heartbreaking. So basically, our stand is clear that we will not pursue it. The stand of India is very clear that we will not pursue it either of the countries, that is Ukraine or Russia. We will not pressurize them. We cannot persuade them. This is their call. So, but our stand is clear that we Indians strongly resist this war, because so many people are losing their lives in this particular war, and at the end of the day things will get calm, things will get relaxed. But what will happen to the person who have lost their lives in this particular war? So these are the things that we have to understand. Now is the time that everybody should think about the current situation of war, because this war was started like 29 months ago. This war began 29 months ago. After the 29 months, we don't have a conclusion. We don't have a strong and a concrete conclusion to end this particular war. So these are the things that are important. And our Prime Minister during his visit had clearly made it very clear that the loss of lives is very heartbreaking, because this is not helping anyone. And also when the conditions like these arose, the role of international organizations, the role of big international organizations clearly becomes very questionable, because the authority with which these international organizations were established, the authority is really questionable. Why? Because these international authorities like the United Nations were established to maintain the international peace and security. Now there are two wars that are currently going on, and these two wars are very disturbing. One war is going on between Ukraine and Russia, and another war is going on between Israel and Hamas militant. So these are the things that we have to understand. Now moving on to the next important news headline, we have already covered it. UP Special Investigation Team leaves out preacher in its report, blames organizer for stampede that killed 121. So basically, a 1,000 pages report submitted by the two-member special investigation team has clearly left out the main preacher, who was Bhole Baba. They have clearly left out Bhole Baba out of that 1,000 pages report. And in that particular report, the members of the SIT team have blamed organizers for the stampede that killed 121. So basically, they have left out the main preacher in their report, but they have included the organizers for the stampede. Why? Because the permission was given for the 80,000 people, and there were 250,000 people at the satsang. So basically, organizers were blamed for this particular stampede, and Bhole Baba has been kept out of the 1000 pages report, which is submitted by a two-member committee, which was constituted by the Uttar Pradesh government. Now, moving on, CBI arrests two more in NEET UG paper leak case. So basically, Central Bureau of Investigations team has arrested two more persons from from Nalanda. Now we have to understand one thing. Yesterday we read that Supreme Court has clearly made their stand very clear that if they were not convinced, if they are not convinced that the paper leak took place at a large extent, then they will not reconsider the option of having a retest. But again, every day every day there is some development regarding the NEET UG paper leak case. So this is the right time when Supreme Court of India should interrupt, and they should take a progressive step, and they should organize the retest for the NEET UG paper leak case. All the questions will be over, all the problems will be solved. They have to, or they just have to order a retest of 2.3 million people who were directly or indirectly affected by this particular result. So Supreme Court should understand this thing. Supreme Court will understand this thing, and I think these are the things that that clearly shook the conscience of the exam taker. That these kind of paper leak directly or indirectly impact the moral conscience of an exam taker. So these are the things that we have to understand, and we have to frame our policies accordingly, because there were a lot of questions which are related to the there were a lot of allegations. There were a lot of allegations that there were a lot of money involved in the NEET UG test. Why there were claims that people have paid like 60 lakhs, 40 lakhs to get the question paper. Like Shivanandan, who had allegedly reached a deal for rupees 40 lakh to get the question paper, and is believed to have paid half the amount on the testee. So there are students who have paid amount of 20 lakh to the person who claimed to have the NEET UG question paper. So these are the things that we have to understand. Somehow the sanctity of the examination is questioned, and this is questionable. The sanctity of examination is very much questionable. Why? Because the stand of NTA was very rogue in the beginning. In the beginning, the stand of NEET was very rogue. They were not cooperating at all. They were giving false answers for each and every question. They were not answering properly. They were not replying properly. But once the matter went into the court, central government took the very strong step. They removed the head of the NTA. So these are the things that are taking place currently related to the NEET UG paper leak case. The Supreme Court has already halted the counseling of this particular examination. They have, they have halted the counseling as of now, because of some unforeseen circumstances. But again, these all things are hinting at a possible retest. Possible retest. I'm not saying there will be a retest, but again, there are possibilities that there is going to be a retest, because every day there is a kind of development related to this particular news item. Now moving on to the next important. Supreme Court flays state for not setting up adoption agencies. So basically, Supreme Court has initiated some coercive proceedings against various states and union territories, because they have not complied with the order of Supreme Court, which was passed in the month of November 2023. Because in that particular order, Supreme Court The Supreme Court was compelled on Tuesday to initiate coercive proceedings against 29 states and UTs for not complying with the November 2023 order to set up a. Why these proceedings were initiated? Because states and UTs have failed to set up a specialized adoption agencies. So state failed to establish a specialized adoption agencies meant to streamline the adoption processes of abandoned and surrendered children in every district. So basically, these were the orders which was given by the Supreme Court in the month of November 2023, that every state will set up a specialized adoption agency, and this particular agency will be set up in every district. But many States and UTs have not complied with the order of Supreme Court. That's why Supreme Court has taken some strict action against states. So this is the news that is very important for us to understand. The name of the agency was Specialized Adoption Agency. Now, and also the Supreme and the central government holds a review of national education policy, with states to chart a 5-year action plan. The Union Education Ministry on Tuesday began a 2-day meeting to review the progress of the national education policies implementation in states and UTs. The meeting on Tuesday was attended by representatives of the National Council of Educational Research and Training, NCERT, SCERT, CBSC, and Kendriya Vidyalaya and Navodaya Vidyalaya representatives. So various representatives have attended this particular meeting, and the central government has organized this particular meeting so that they can form a 5-year plan, so that they can chart out a 5-year action plan. Next 5-year action plan क्या होना चाहिए, हम अगले 5 years तक हम लोग क्या क्या चीज़ों को हम लोग कर सकते हैं, और चीज़ें कैसे कैसे हमें easily मैनेज करनी है नेक्स्ट 5 years में, बिकॉज नेक्स्ट 5 years are going to be very important for India. We have to adopt a kind of education program where everybody is more focused on enhancing the skills of the aspirants. So these are the things that we have to understand. The meeting was organized by the central governments, and the various representatives have joined or attended this particular meeting. गवर्नमेंट ने अगला 5 साल का उनका जो एजेंडा रहने वाला है उसको डिसाइड किया है. गवर्नमेंट ने अगले 5 साल तक जो उनका एजेंडा रहने वाला है उसे डिसाइड किया है. इसके साथ हम अब नेक्स्ट न्यूज़ हेडलाइन पे मूव करेंगे. एंड व्हाट इज द नेक्स्ट न्यूज़ हेडलाइन फॉर द डे? So basically, a budget that drives growth with stability. So this is a final economic article, and this article is basically related to the budget, the upcoming budget, which will be presented on 23rd of July 2024. This will be the second. This will be the I guess 7th time that our finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present the budget. The final budget for 2024-25 to be presented on July 23rd would be the first budget of the new government. So the best thing about this particular budget is that this is going to be the first time after 2014 that Bharatiya Janata Party will present a budget, and they do not have absolute majority. Bharatiya Janata Party in itself doesn't have absolute majority. It is NDA which have the majority. That's why they are ruling the country. Now this is the first time that NDA will present a separate budget. Why? Because this time this is not a BJP budget. This is going to be a NDA budget, because various parties are supporting Bharatiya Janata Party to maintain or to form the government at the center. So that's why this particular budget becomes very important. The interim budget was presented by the Nirmala Sitharaman on 1st of February 2024. Because of the election year, the interim budget was presented initially. Now the full-fledged budget will be presented. A full-fledged budget for 2024-2025 will be presented by Nirmala Sitharaman on July 23rd. Now, what are the various aspects that are being talked about in this particular article? So we will look into those particular aspects. To ensure a 7% plus growth on sustained basis, we require a real investment rate of 35%, as in the latest available data for 2023 to 24. The real investment rate measured as gross fixed capital formation as percentage of GDP. So basically, if we want to become a developed nation, then we have to grow at a minimum rate of 7%. And if we want to achieve a consistent rate of 7%, that every year we grow at the rate of 7%, then we have to make a real investment of 35% every year. Then only we can grow at the rate of 7%. Now these are the various data sets which are involved, and that have been talked in this particular news item. Sorry for that yawning. I'm really sorry for that. Although gross capital formation is marginally higher, we need to ensure a level of GFCF at 35% or so in the medium term to sustain a growth of 7%. We have already discussed it, that we should have a real investment rate of 35% to ensure a 7% plus growth on sustained basis. Sustained basis means to जो future generation के लिए भी हम लोग उसको ध्यान में रखते हुए, तो 7% का अगर 7% का हमें अचीव करना है, तो हमें रियल टाइम इन्वेस्टमेंट रेट अपना 35% रखना होगा. अब ये सारी चीजें हैं जो हमें समझनी होंगी। अब कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्ट्स हम लोग देख लेते हैं, कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्ट्स हम लोग देख लेते हैं। बजटरी ऑप्शंस, नाउ दिस इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर आर्टिकल, सो हम इसको थोड़ा सा कवर करेंगे। Compared to the interim budget, the center's revenue position is expected to improve on the account of both higher tax and non-tax revenues. The base number for gross tax revenues for 2023-24 is at rupees 34.65 lakh crore. So now the gross tax revenue for the year 2023-24 was estimated at 34.65 lakh crore. According to the Controller's Journal of Account, actual turned out to be higher than the revised estimates of the interim budget by a margin of 27,581 crore. So basically, there was the number in the interim budget, and we have actually increased the number. The actual target, the actual number that we were able to achieve is 34.65 lakh crore, which is actually 27,581 crore rupees more than it was suggested in the interim budget. We expect a nominal GDP growth for 24-25 to be at least 11%, made of 7% real growth and 3.8% implicit price deflator based inflation. So basically, for the year 2024-25, for the year 2024-25, the nominal GDP growth will be 11%, the real GDP growth will be 7%, and implicit price deflator is 3.8%. So the real GDP will grow at the rate of 7% in the year 2024-25. Now wholesale price index inflation 0.7%. So these are the numbers, these are the various small terminologies that we have to understand before understanding this particular topic, that what is inflation. When when the price of a commodity is easily, when the price of a commodity shoot up, it is called इन्फ्लेशन। जब किसी भी कमोडिटी का प्राइस बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ जाता है और लोगों के पास उसे खरीदने के लिए डिमांड जितना होता है उतना ही सप्लाई होता है, बट लोगों के पास पैसे ज़्यादा होते हैं, सो क्या होता है, चीज़ों का दाम बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ जाता है। हम लोग इसी को क्या बोलते हैं, इन्फ्लेशन। कि जितना आपके पास पैसा है आपके पॉकेट में, वो आपके पॉकेट का पैसा इनफ नहीं है मार्केट से गुड्स को खरीदने के लिए, इसे हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं, इन्फ्लेशन। So our total net tax revenue क्या नोट total, this would translate to a net total tax revenue of 26.4 lakh crore. So basically 26.4 lakh crore नेट टोटल अमाउंट अवेलेबल रहेगा सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के पास, और इसमें से वो अमाउंट डिडक्ट किया जा चुका है ऑलरेडी। नेट अमाउंट 38.8 लाख करोड़ का एक्सपेक्टेशन था, बट जो 26.4 लाख करोड़, क्योंकि स्टेट्स को बहुत सारा कॉम्पनसेशन हम लोग प्रोवाइड करते हैं, अगर कोई टैक्स का डेफिसिट रह जाता है तो वो भी हम इसको प्रोवाइड करते हैं, हम लोग स्टेट गवर्नमेंट को प्रोवाइड करते हैं। और तीसरा सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज जो इस फाइनेंशियल ईयर में हमारे लिए हुआ है, दैट रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया हैज प्रोवाइडेड a net surplus of rupees 2.11 lakh crore to Indian government. This is also going to help our country to develop very quick, fast rate. So these are the things that are being discussed in this particular article, how the various aspect of the economy. Now we will see this particular article in a nutshell, because there are a lot of data or statistics in this particular article. So there is no need to explain each and every fact separately. You can jot down or copy down each and every fact which is important for you to understand, और फिर आपको सिर्फ उन्हीं फैक्ट्स को रिपीट करना है। अगेन योर्स इज अ मल्टीपल चॉइस बेस्ड क्वेश्चन, आपको हमेशा आपके सामने एक सही ऑप्शन रहेगा, आपको बस सही ऑप्शन पता होना चाहिए। ठीक है, तो अभी हम लोग इस आर्टिकल को नट शेल में देख लेते हैं। अभी हमारी कंट्री में फुल टाइम बजट आने वाला है ऑन 1 फरवरी 2024। इंटरिम बजट वाज प्रेजेंटेड बाय निर्मला सीतारमन। व्हाई इंटरिम बजट वाज प्रेजेंटेड बाय निर्मला सीतारमन? बिकॉज दिस वाज अ इलेक्शन ईयर, दिस वाज अ इलेक्शन ईयर। इलेक्शन ईयर में फुल फ्लेजेड बजट नहीं, पहले हम इंटरिम बजट प्रेजेंट करते हैं, फिर इंटरिम बजट के बाद जब सरकार चुन ली जाती है, जब रिजल्ट आ जाता है, तब हम लोग क्या प्रेजेंट करते हैं, तब हम लोग फुल फ्लेजेड एनुअल बजट प्रेजेंट करते हैं। Now the full-fledged budget will be presented by Nirmala Sitharaman on 23rd of July 2024. She presented the interim budget on 1st February 2024. Now, the real target is to achieve a 7% of real GDP growth of 7%. Now various aspects which will help in achieving this particular number of 7%, and also how various entities of government, how the various arms of the government will help in achieving this particular target. Suppose take a very small example, that in this financial year Reserve Bank of India has given a 2.11 lakh crore rupees surplus amount to the government of India. So these are the things which are very important for the government to grow from policies for the various states and the citizens of this particular country. The inflation rate is high, the inflation is high, but one good thing about is that gross tax revenue for the year 2023-24 was at 34.65 lakh crore. For 23-24, the gross revenue was 34.65 lakh crore, which is 27,581 crore more than the expected amount. So basically, this was the amount which was presented in during the interim budget, but we beat this particular amount by 27,581 crore rupees. So these are the things which are important for us to understand now. The various aspects of the government schemes have also been discussed under this particular article. Now, assuming that the government adheres to the 5.1% fiscal deficit to GDP ratio as announced in the interim budget. So there was an announcement by the Nirmala Sitharaman in interim budget that the physical deficit to GDP ratio will be 5.1%, 5.1% physical deficit to GDP ratio. So basically जितना डेफिसिट होगा, जितना हमारे जीडीपी का वैल्यू होगा, तो पूरे जीडीपी के वैल्यू का जो फिजिकल डेफिसिट होगा वो कितना होगा, सिर्फ 5.1%. अब ये तो बात हो गई हमारी थोड़ा सा फिजिकल डेफिसिट की. अगर अब इंडिया की जो एक जीडीपी है उसकी वैल्यू हम लोग एक 100 रुपीज़ मान लेते हैं. दिस इज जस्ट वन एग्जांपल टू अंडरस्टैंड थिंग. हम 100 रुपीज़ उसकी वैल्यू को अगर अज्यूम कर लेते हैं तो जीडीपी टोटल फिजिकल डेफिसिट कितना होगा. टोटल फिजिकल डेफिसिट होगा 5.1 रुपीज़ का. क्यों? अज्यूमिंग दैट द गवर्नमेंट adheres to the 5.1% physical deficit to GDP ratio. सो बेसिकली गवर्नमेंट ने ऑलरेडी अनाउंस किया था इंटरिम बजट में कि हमारा फिजिकल डेफिसिट जीडीपी रेशियो रहने वाला वो कितना है, 5.1%. ठीक है, अब हम लोग चलते हैं नेक्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पैराग्राफ की तरफ. एंड आई होप दिस इज द लास्ट पैसेज, दिस इज द लास्ट पैसेज अंडर दिस पर्टिकुलर आर्टिकल. Now, total expenditure that can be financed amounts to rupees 49 lakh crore after taking into account some non-debt capital receipts. This will have to be allocated between revenues and capital expenditure. With the interim budget expenditure magnitudes, revenue expenditure growth in 2024-25 turns out to be 4.6% over the CG actuals for 2023-24. This growth may have to be increased to accommodate higher revenues expenditure on account of increased subsidies, increased health expenditure, and increased allocations from Manrega to support and provide relief to the rural population. So basically, most of the Indian population lives in rural areas of our country, rural part of this particular country. So if we want to develop India in the actual sense, then we have to develop the rural part of our India as well. And to develop the rural part of our India as well, we have to increase the budgets for various schemes like Manrega, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. We have to, increase the budgets for these particular schemes, which are, rural areas focus scheme. So to increase the budget of these particular schemes, we need more money. So we need more money. So this is, how things are very interrelated. That you cannot, if even if you want to, you cannot, ignore villages. Without villages, you cannot actually develop the country, because that won't be an inclusive development. That won't be an inclusive development. And to develop our country exhaustively and in the complete sense, we have to adopt the policy of, we have to, foresee the policy of comprehensive and inclusive development, where each and every aspect of society grew together. Currently only urban areas are growing, rural areas are not growing. That, and this is the main reason why people are migrating from rural areas to urban areas, because they don't have enough employment opportunities in village areas, they don't have job security in village areas, they don't have multiple opportunities in village areas. That's why they are migrating to urban areas. Now, even after reaching to the urban areas, their problem is not solved, because you will get the employment, you will get a 20-30,000 rupees per month salary basis, you will be employed. But again, out of that 20,000 amount, you have to give 6,000 rupees as a rent. Everything is expensive in cities. You have to pay various kind of taxes and charges to each and everybody. You will pay a 5,000 rupees for your rent, 2,000 for your, cooking essentials and each and everything. So basically, in urban areas you earn more, but you spend more in urban areas as well, because there are a lot of places and instances where you can, spend easily. So, just to allocate the fund to the schemes which are related to rural areas is very important. And that's why this scheme, which is very important, is Manrega, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So this the author has suggested to increase the budget for all these schemes. Now, That's it. This is about the, this particular article, and we have discussed it enough. Now moving on to the next important article, the shape of manufacturing 3.0 for Modi 3.0. So this particular article is again related to the same, same article, same thing. The best and the most important thing, in this particular article is that we have to understand, we have to see the last paragraph of this particular article. The US can play a modest but meaningful role in improving the businesses attractiveness of Indian states. This may include expanding engagement with the Indian states to provide direct guidance on effective economic governance and to improve pathways for potential investors to engage with the state governments. Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru, and engaging a wider set of large states on the importance and opportunities from the current evolution of global supply chains. Now we have to understand. Now, like we have discussed the same thing in the last paragraph, that if we want to see the whole country as a developed country, then we have to develop each and every single individual of this country. So the maximum population of our country lives in the rural areas. So that's why without developing rural areas, we cannot develop the entire nation. Now again, this Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore circuit. Now each and every company that is coming to India want to make an investment in Delhi, Mumbai, or Bangalore. They feel so secured that their money is so secured because these are the big cities and they have a lot of potential in themselves. So we have to develop more cities like Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore. If we are not able to, if we are not able to lure these companies to, to establish their centers in tier 2 or tier 3 cities, then we should develop more tier 1 cities, because we cannot let go investors like we don't have enough tier 1 cities and we have only Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore. So basically, the size of market is static. It will not change. No, it will change for various commodities. It will change, but with the current change in the trend, we have to understand one thing, that the country comprises of 28 states and UTs. ठीक है, so country consists of 28 states and 8 UTs. So if we will not develop all these entities, there is no benefit of talking about each and everything, because development doesn't mean that the development of Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore. Development means the development of entire nation. Now the various aspects that have been discussed in this particular article are just, we will look at just one aspect, that we have a trade deficit of, in the last 12 months we have a trade deficit of 250 billion dollars. We have a total trade value of 1 trillion dollar. We did a trade of 1 trillion dollar and we had a trade deficit of 250 dollar, 250 billion dollars. So basically these are the, the goods trade. This is the goods trade of India. Now when we come to the services sector, now the service sector is performing quite well. We have a surplus of 160 billion dollars in the service sector, because in last 12 months we have a total of 518 billion dollar of service trade. लास्ट 12 मंथ्स में हमने 518 बिलियन डॉलर का सर्विसेज का ट्रेड किया है, और हमारा जो सर्विसेज का ट्रेड है वो 160 बिलियन डॉलर से सरप्लस में। वेरस हमारा जो गुड्स का ट्रेड है उसका जो टोटल वॉल्यूम था वो कितना था, 1 ट्रिलियन डॉलर का था, बट लास्ट 12 मंथ्स में टोटल डेफिसिट कितना हुआ है, 250 बिलियन डॉलर्स का। सो बेसिकली ये सारी चीज़ें भी हमें समझनी होंगी कि जो ये ट्रेड डेफिसिट है लॉन्ग टर्म में इसका इम्पैक्ट क्या होगा। और इसके से एक चीज़ और भी है ना, कि जो क्लाइमेट चेंज के वेरियस जो पॉलिसीज़ है कि बाय 2030 वी विल बी रिड्यूसिंग द कार्बन एमिशन इंटेंसिटी बाय 45%। सो हमें बेसिकली कैसे कॉम्प्रहेंसिव बैलेंस क्रिएट करना है इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट और एनवायरमेंटल प्रॉब्लम्स के बीच में, हमें ये चीज़ भी समझनी होगी। नाउ मूविंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट ऑफ दिस ऑफ टुडेज न्यूज़पेपर। सो वी कि अब हम लोग बिजनेस सेक्टर में एंटर कर चुके हैं। नोट बैन जीएसटी कोविड कॉस्ट ₹11.3 lakh crore and 1.6 crore informal jobs. So basically this is a data which suggested that the various policies of the central government, just like note ban, GST, and that lockdown during the COVID has costed a Indian economy a staggering amount of rupees 11.3 lakh crore. So basically, and also the 1.6 crore informal jobs have been lost during this particular period. So these are the things which are important, that note ban GST, note ban GST, note ban GST, note ban GST and COVID had costed rupees 11.3 lakh crore and 1.6 crore informal jobs. So basically this is the thing which is coming, which is coming from business sector. Now moving on to the next important aspect of today's newspaper: Andhra Pradesh to defer budget till September 6, clarity on central aid. So basically Andhra Pradesh has deferred the state budget by till September 2024 because they are seeking a response from the central government related to the aid which will be provided to the Andhra Pradesh. Now this becomes very interesting. Why? Because the political party of Chandrababu Naidu has provided political support to the central government. So this will be interesting to see that what special things that Chandrababu Naidu will get from the central government. Now, सो फ्रांस में इलेक्शंस थे, इलेक्शंस के जो रिजल्ट्स रहे हैं वो बहुत ज़्यादा बहुत ज़्यादा सेटिस्फैक्ट्री नहीं है। रूलिंग पार्टी ने किसी भी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को मेजॉरिटी नहीं मिली है, किसी भी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को मेजॉरिटी नहीं मिली है। सो इस वजह से जो फ्रांस के इलेक्शंस हैं वो बहुत ज़्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग हो गए हैं। ओलंपिक्स भी स्टार्ट होने वाले हैं फ्रांस में। सो बेसिकली दिस इज़ अ काइंड ऑफ सिचुएशन जहाँ पे ये पॉलिटिकल टर्मोइल हम एक्सपेक्ट नहीं किया जा सकता था, बट अगेन हो गया है। और अर्जेंटीना के जो मतलब प्रेसिडेंट थे जेवियर मिलाई, उन्होंने जो नया पॉलिटिकल इकोनॉमिक प्लान था उसे साइन कर दिया, तो ऑलरेडी से इम्प्लीमेंट किया जाना स्टार्ट कर दिया गया। नाउ अभी हम लोग इंटरनेशनल सेक्टर में पहुंच रहे हैं। इंटरनेशनल सेक्टर में बेसिकली इतना इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है, और नाटो का सबमिट होने वाला है, उसको लेकर के चाइना ने उसे काफ़ी ज़्यादा क्रिटिसाइज किया है। सो दिस इज़ द थिंग। नाउ स्पोर्ट्स सेक्शन में गौतम गंभीर हैज़ बीन this is the one important news that the Gautam Gambhir has been appointed as the Team India's head coach. Now, आज के जो न्यूज़पेपर है उसमें सिर्फ इतनी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ें, इसके अलावा कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है। दो एडिटोरियल थे, दोनों के दोनों बिजनेस सेक्टर से रिलेटेड थे, और जो भी इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट थे आज के न्यूज़पेपर को हम लोगों ने ऑलरेडी कवर कर लिए हैं। सो आई विल से थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वॉचिंग टूडेज वीडियो एनालिसिस ऑफ द हिंदू। और अगर आप लोग का किसी भी तरीके का कोई डाउट होता है, देन डू पंच इन योर क्वेश्चंस ऑन द यूट्यूब चैनल। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वॉचिंग टूडेज वीडियो।